Hey, welcome to Psyched with Rena. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about managing our anxiety. And this is a 4-part series which talks about our triggers and anxiety and how it's carried in our body. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Rena Chan. I am a therapist in the Seattle area, and I predominantly work with people of color, or as Resmaa Menakem calls them, bodies of culture. And I will be sharing with you about mindfulness today and how to increase that space of our ability to be able to focus on what's present instead of being agitated in our anxiety. This episode focuses specifically on mindfulness to reduce anxiety. It can do two things. It can reduce the amount of time that you are triggered, and it can also build a resilience so you are triggered less often and less easily. Now, there are two methods I'm going to cover in this video of increasing mindfulness. The first is guided meditation, or meditation in general, and the second is expressive writing therapy. So whether you are hyper-aroused in fight or flight, or hypo-aroused, numbing or freezing, you can get better into the window of tolerance between those two by meditating and by doing expressive writing. In processing disruptions, the more mindful we can be, the better. That means being focused on the present in a non-judgmental manner. Now, Dan Gilbert, he's done some research on our minds and finds that 30% of the time, our minds are wandering. They might be thinking about the past, things that have happened. They might be thinking about the future, what could happen. But even while we're doing something in the present, like working or having a conversation or eating a meal, the tendency is for our mind to be elsewhere, at least 30% of the time. Now, to increase our happiness and also our effectiveness, it would help to condense that amount of time that our mind is wandering. And to do that, we need to develop more mindfulness. How do we develop mindfulness? Well, it's being focused on the present. And so in the past episode, I gave you a reference to some meditation links. Meditation can help us practice being more in the present. There are 3 links there. There's a body scan, which we discussed. There's also a reflection on gratitude, which also increases our happiness and satisfaction with our life in general. And there's a meditation on loving kindness. The loving kindness meditation is a way to kind of send blessing to yourself and to others close to you and even further out into your community or people you're having trouble with. That's a good place to start if you are new to meditation, to practice listening to these particular common meditations. There are also lots of apps out there that can help with meditation. But having guided meditation exercises that brain muscle of being able to focus more for longer periods of time in the present. What does that do? It's actually been shown that being able to be more mindful and present-minded boosts your happiness and satisfaction with life. It's also meant to actually grow your brain cells. That's right, you get more gray matter from meditating more. And in addition to that, it also can give you a greater connection with those people around you because you are actually more present in your day-to-day life. But what if you still have these running thoughts, these things of, oh, what should I do here? What should I have done? What could I have said? Maybe you're catastrophizing into the future about things that might happen. Well, one option is if you're trying to ground yourself and the body scan and just the physical grounding is troublesome, the other option I'd suggest is writing. Try some writing therapy. Dr. David Pennebaker, he suggests that you can work through even severe traumas, but also just general triggers and wonderings through the process of writing. What this would mean is that I would want you to write about what is troubling you and what your worst fears are, and this 15 minutes twice a day, minimum of 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. And do this for at least 4 days in a row. This is a way for your brain to kind of come online and focus on something, even if it's the thing you don't want to think about, you don't want to worry about it, and kind of churn through, and so you can reach some clarity and some logic behind the thinking. I have a client, David. He is always afraid he's going to be fired. So he might say, oh my gosh, my boss, he did not email me back. Maybe that means that he is mad at me, or he thinks I'm incompetent or stupid for asking a question. And then he will go down all these ruminations of how he could be fired. And then what would he do? Then he'd have to find another job, and maybe he wouldn't be able to support his family. Anyway, by focusing on writing 15 minutes a couple of times a day, he was able to kind of process through and realize the irrationality of what he was thinking. And that would free him up to be better focused at work. I would love to hear if some of you struggle with these same things that David does. So write down below if you can identify with those struggles, and see if this writing exercise would help you. My hope is that you will increase your mindfulness and experience more joy in life and less anxiety. Next time, we're going to be talking about increasing our movement to help regulate our bodies. So when we're having anxiety and we feel it in our bodies, what are other ways to calm down our bodies? So stay tuned, subscribe here. See you next time.